To get the obvious out of the way, no, of course you can't do Albania justice in one day. This is the YouTube we know and love, which actively demands your titles be the dumbest versions of themselves possible to the point that it's disingenuous. And goodness knows I need the algorithm to smile on this channel, otherwise I'm going to have to start doing Marvel trailer breakdowns or something that would get my subs into 4 figures. But yes, of course it's ridiculous to suggest you could cover the 28,748 square kilometres of Albania in a single day, unless you're a test pilot for the RAF with access to a vertical takeoff aircraft and a frankly puzzling lack of military oversight preventing you from using it at your leisure over the airspace of a sovereign nation. However, even just taking a day to check out Albania is something I can't recommend highly enough. I mean, of all the European countries with a Mediterranean coast, Albania is probably the biggest black hole in our collective awareness. I mean, quick test, can you tell me anything about Albania? Any history? Flag? Nominal GDP? Maybe you want to hum a few lines of the national anthem? Look, there's no guilt. The majority of us know nothing about Albania despite how beautiful it is and how much significant history has occurred there. You see, Albania wasn't just a historical backwater that everyone skimmed straight past on their way to Greece. It had major settlements by the Greeks, Romans, and later the Venetians, the Ottomans, and, a small chance you'd picked up on this by now, I do find a good ruin very hard to resist. Now, the capital is Tirana. You can fly there, and it's not offensively expensive, but you'll struggle to get a flight for less than about 100. But if you've been following this channel, you'll know we snuck over to Corfu and, well, wouldn't you know it, the economies of scale means that flying to Corfu, not that pricey if you're quick off the mark. So we knew we wanted to take a day trip over, but kind of amusingly, all the while we had mainly sunshine in Corfu. Anytime you looked across the channel over to Albania, it was getting absolutely dunked on. This was April, so, do keep half an eye on the forecast if you're going out of season. Getting the ferry turned out to be dead easy. In fact, so much so, I'm not going to labour the point. Go to the Corfu ferry port, head left a bit through the main gate and head for this building. Go inside the building, you'll need a passport. Albania is not in the Schengen area. Other than that, everything is very straightforward. There's a slower car ferry, but on foot, you're probably on the hydrofoil or Flying Dolphin, to use its much weirder title. It's actually got a weird Thunderbirds vibe to it, not just because of the shape, but the rather sort of shabby beige interior, which has this weird feeling of being stuck somewhere in the 1960s idea of what the future would look like. But it's pretty fast, about half an hour crossing. The views of Corfu are lush, so sit on the left on the way out if you can. And here is Saranda. Quick bag check on the other side and you're in. Saranda is really, really nice. Back when I asked about Albania earlier, your gut response might have been, is it like really poor or something? And while it's true, it got a pretty raw end of the deal with its personal brand of communism only emerging from isolationism in the early 1990s. Apparently there wasn't even a traffic light in the entire country before 1991. However, Saranda is lush. It's modern, it looks like Greece or just, a modern Mediterranean coastal town. I was already thinking damn, I wish we had a couple of nights just to hang out here. However, we weren't just aimlessly heading over to Albania to see what we found. We were on a mission, and one of the places we were particularly making a beeline for is Butrint, which is one of the ruined cities we mentioned. Now, there's buses to Butrint, however, I had to search surprisingly hard to make certain I'd got the right place. So this is it, that is the stop. It's not marked on Google, but the good news is just head for this. These are the ruins of a 5th century synagogue. It makes it pretty easy to track on the map. We actually made it there just following our noses, but yeah, this is your bus stop. Oh, and since we're getting on a bus, you'll need some money. Now, the Albanian currency is called lek.
And this is what it looks like. You have no idea how hard it is to get hold of this money.
Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. We visited 3 different currency places here in the UK, and I might as well have gone in asking for Anglo-Saxon gold. There was a lot of confused looks and, we've never had that. But one place did suggest I could just pick it up when we landed in Corfu, so yeah, okay. Found a currency place when we got to Corfu, but no Albanian lek on Corfu. Seriously? They're close enough to Albania to have a game of badminton across the strait, but look, don't fret. Just as soon as you get into Albania, find a cash machine. There's like one just 2 strides out of the ferry terminal. There is talk that some places will take the euro, but I wouldn't want to put that to the test for something that mattered like a bus ride, so get some lek. The bus ride was pleasant enough. It did crack me up that while we were still in Saranda, we pulled away from the stop and then came to a halt behind a flatbed truck, at which point the driver got out, engine still running, popped into a bakery for a snack, and then a minute later just got back in again and drove off. Don't feel like you could pull that off in the UK, but the bus driver didn't seem particularly surprised. The views, once again, sit on the left. There's an inland lake as you head south with all the mountains framing it in the background. This country, man, seriously, how good is this? And we're here. So, Butrint is, well, it's kind of a greatest hits compilation of all the major Mediterranean civilizations. It was founded by the Greeks, built on by the Romans, and into the Byzantine era. Yes, we know they're the same people. Put your hand down, genius. After the Fourth Crusade, it briefly became part of the Despotate of Epirus, which might be my favourite political entity of all time. I mean, because, nothing says fun dinner party guest like bringing up the Despotate of Epirus unprompted. Then later on it was the Venetians, followed by the Ottomans. The difference is that due to the area getting kind of flooded and swampy, rather than bothering to tear down the old buildings and build over them, the new occupants would mostly just build their stuff alongside whatever was still there. It's really tranquil. You can just wander in whatever direction you please and you'll stumble into a clearing with ruins. This central Roman part is probably the most impressive bit, though I should point out the theatre is classical era Greek. I'm not going to try and twist your arm and beg you to go. You just should. It's really beautiful. Even if you barely glance at the ruins, it's still great. Jen is nowhere near as much of a history nerd as me, and she loved it, so I'm using her as my barometer of a normal human. You should like it too. It was pretty baking, even for April, but there is a lot of shade, there's decent toilets. Yeah, this place is a UNESCO site, and it's gratifyingly well looked after. We spent just about 3 hours there. Could have spent so much longer just sat looking at the views if we weren't on the clock, but bus back. We had a couple of hours before the ferry returned, and that is one downside. The ferry gets in about 9:30 in the morning and leaves about 4. So actually that title should really be more like How to Do Albania in 6.5 hours? But still, rather than sit in a bar by the water, there was one more thing I really wanted to see. It's a bit of a hill walk and we were sweating it pretty hard, but we were heading up towards Lekareshi Castle. It's about a 45-minute walk. The road there is a bit of a dirt track after a while. Now, the castle isn't the real prize. It's Ottoman. I'm going to go out on a limb here. The Ottomans didn't build very interesting-looking forts. Compared to their contemporaries, the Venetians, yes, 1,000% biased, don't even care. The Venetian forts have a certain flair and lyricism to them, whereas the Ottoman forts are often smaller, kind of blocky and a bit forgettable. But really, let's be honest, you're just here for the views. The castle in itself is pretty much just a cafe now, and it doesn't come too highly recommended, so maybe stop there and enjoy the view, or don't, whichever. Actually, we didn't even have time to find out if all the one-star reviews were accurate, as once we'd taken a few shots, we had to rush away and pretty much jog back down the hill in 35-degree heat. Yeah, that was not much fun. There's not a whole lot of choice on ferries back, and much as I said earlier, I wish I had longer in Saranda, I would prefer not to be booking a hotel at the very last minute. Still, we just made it, very out of breath, and relaxed on the way back. So, that was Albania in quickly. You should totally do it, either as a day trip from Corfu or, yeah, stay longer. There's a ton of other stuff to do and see in Albania. Can't lie, I'm already piecing together a hypothetical itinerary for us to go back and spend a few more days this time. Do it. Actually do it. It's a beautiful country. It's really chill. It's about as safe as anywhere else on the Med. Do it, do it, do it. Next episode, we're at it again. This time, we're further up the Adriatic coast. We're doing Montenegro in a day. Meanwhile, the track you've been hearing behind this was made specifically for this episode, and you can find it at bandcamp.com. If you want to support the channel, that's the place to do it. Many thanks, and catch you guys on the next episode.